Too often, I see the biggest problem in businesses, large or small, is about how inconsistent their sales performance and sales growth is. And I'm often getting asked, how do we get more consistency? How do I get my team performing more? How do I get them raising the bar, raising the standards and improving constantly? Or if it's a solopreneur, how do they get started and break through some of the resistance that they might be experiencing? So my name's Yvonne Hilton. I've been coaching sales teams, from large multinational and international companies, which might have a couple of 100,000 in their team, right through to the small entrepreneur who's just started out and decided that they want to have their own business, and then everything in between. And over the last 15 or so years, I've seen so many different strategies and different teams applying different techniques to how they can build that consistency. And I certainly know, talking to some of the CEOs that I have done, the sales managers, and certainly the business owners, that they can have some pretty sleepless nights when they're worried about cash flow, certainly worrying about their bottom line, and really at a loss as to how to get more certainty of sales and growth in their business. So I want to share with you a model that I teach where I unpack the 9 key areas that I see that if you as a business owner or as a company really look to get maximum impact and maximum focus on, you are going to reduce some of the gaps in your team's performance, some of the inconsistencies, and you're going to attract better talent and team in your organization, which will allow you to reach the goals that you're going for. Whether it's at the start of the year, middle of the year, or you're wanting to wrap up the year, you can start to implement these strategies. Okay, so let me share with you what these 9 key principles are. First of all, it's about thinking about if everything was aligned and all in place, what is the sweet spot that you're going for? And for me, this is about sales certainty. So right here in the center where everything is aligned, this is the sweet spot. And for us, this is sales certainty. But how do you get there? So let's look at what are the 3 key things that clients or any business is really wanting to create and have. First of all, you've got to have customers. You can't have a business without customers. It makes it so much easier for you to grow and expand your business if you have loyalty in your network and database. The cost of acquisition of clients is very expensive, and you can scale and grow and be more resourceful if you've got a great loyal fan base who continue to purchase from you. And ultimately what this is going to drive is better profit in your business. So when I think of the 3 key things, it's like attracting great clients or purchasing or bringing in great clients who are very loyal and that ultimately allow you to impact and be more profitable. But how do you get there? First of all, it starts with your alignment. And I'll unpack this further. So often I see in businesses they spend a lot of time, money and effort figuring out what their strategy is. They're not really distilling it to the core team, so the core team don't really know, or they've got talent in the business that is misaligned to the strategy, or they're not actually recruiting the right people, or if they are recruiting the right people, they haven't got them sitting in the right seat in the bus going in the right direction. And without that, it just makes it so much difficult to really get traction in your business. The next part of it is, well, what are you delivering? What does your product look like? What is the service that you're providing? As a sales coach and trainer, I'm so surprised how often I go into an organization and they haven't invested a lot in sales training, where statistics show that 45% of trained salespeople are afraid to close. And then I look at these organizations where they haven't invested much in their team, and I'm like, if 45% of trained salespeople are afraid to close, how often are your non-trained people afraid to close? Either sabotaging the sale, not even asking for it, pitching with either overwhelm or underwhelming. It's so costly doing that in your business because your guinea pig is your customer, and sometimes you've only got one chance. So I'm looking at, what is the delivery of your product and service, your sales process and structure, and ultimately the service that goes around it. And then finally, it's what are the upgrades in the business that you can be doing once you've got everything fine-tuned, that allow you to elevate to that next level. Zig when the competition is zagging, cut through the noise that we're seeing in the marketplace right now and really look for those surprise and delight moments where you can create wow factor unexpectedly for your client. Because I see the opposite of what happens when you don't have your team aligned to a great strategy, you haven't got the correct talent, or you've got the talent doing the wrong things in the business, and you're certainly not empowering your team. The challenge is that you will have no flow. And no flow is super costly to a business. It's costly from time, resources. There's a productivity issue. Often the culture is really not thriving for the people or the business, and it's all because this alignment piece is out. Secondly, if you're not delivering on great customer service, an impeccable product that the market wants, and you don't have some really clear sales processes and systems in place, what you're going to struggle with is no growth. You can't hit your targets. You can't stretch your targets. Your team aren't able to deliver and close. And you certainly are not going to get sales certainty because your function of sales and service just isn't there. And then finally, if you're not upgrading, like this is putting that extra cherry on top, the challenge for you is that you just don't have impact in your community and broader. Whether you're a solopreneur wanting to make a big splash, or you're a competitor you're in a very noisy marketplace and you're wanting to expand and grow, this is the area that allows you to separate out from the pack. But without this, your impact is going to be very small. So when I look at this with the businesses that I work with and the teams that I go in to work with, I give them a framework and a model, because I think when somebody can see that there's pieces to the jigsaw puzzle that all come together to give a really good picture, it allows them to establish, well, where are we at? So if you're a solopreneur, I'll take you through a process to go, well, out of the 9 areas, where's really working for you, where needs a bit of work, and where just isn't functioning at all, and equally at a team level or a larger company. Because some things need critical urgency and a priority straight away. Others you can put in the background and go, let's get to that once we put these other things in place. But if you don't know what they are, you're scrambling and you're wasting a lot of time and effort on your team. And ultimately, you're not going to make those sales. So let's look at what those 9 key things are. So starting up here with alignment. First thing is designing a strategy that works for you and the company's vision. And when I'm talking strategy, this is not just a 1-page document that nobody ever sees, that gets pulled out at the end of every year to go, hey, did we make it? It's actually really designing a strategy to your core values. What's important to you as the owner or as the company, into the community that you're serving. Really making sure that it's designed to be what you want it to be. Particularly I'm seeing now, lots of different strategies as to how companies are growing in the marketplace and closing more sales, but it's not a strategy that will work for everyone. And if you don't know what the best strategy is for you and your skill set and the size of your business, again, you can be wasting a lot of time, energy, and resources chasing this unicorn that's not even designed, that's not going to bring you the results that you want. So it's starting with that strategy. I focus a lot on talent. I think everybody has a right to be in flow in their business and in their career. If you're measuring the success of how well animals climb a tree and you've got an elephant, a monkey, and a fish, well, it's not apples for apples. The monkey, of course, will win that. Elephant won't get a start, and the fish, well, it should be in water anyway. So often in business, we're trying to get people to be jack of all trades, master of nothing, and wondering why we're not getting that flow, that joy coming out of people really valuing themselves and how they can leverage that in a business. So aligning your team to figure out what is their zone of genius, what are their natural strengths, how do you understand the value that they bring to the team or the organization, or if you're the owner, what you bring to the business, and then how do you leverage it? We don't want everyone to be an elephant. We don't want everyone to be great at climbing trees. We do need people to be able to, swim down rivers fast. But if you're trying to get everyone to be the same thing, you're not going to get great performance, and you're going to get lackluster and average results, and the culture is going to represent that as well. So it's looking at, do you know the talent of your team? Do you know what they're great at? And are you helping them be better at that, or are you trying to put a square peg in a round hole? And then equally, what is your team? You know, looking at the job descriptions, are you aligning it to their talent, or has it always been, well, this is what we've always done, so this is what we're always going to be? That's not enough these days. You know, there's a lot of competition for talent, and I think it's easy to become a really great employer of choice by harnessing their natural gifts and really helping them to project and exceed from that, and which will always help you as the owner or as the team leader or the HR succeed as well, because that will mean that you'll hit your KPIs and your targets. So really the first thing for me is making sure this is all in place, because without that, we're trying to build a house on quicksand, and that's not going to give you the results. Secondly, let's look at what we need to do to deliver. You know, it's looking at, first of all, what is it that you sell? You know, whether you're a solopreneur who's selling a service, maybe you're a coach or a consultant, it's still a product, it's just the product. Or maybe you're selling a thing like a pen. You know, it's really making sure that your market actually wants what you're selling. Is it useful? Is it serving them? Is it good quality? All the things that we know will make a successful business easier to, the team to make it easy for them to sell if the product is correct. But looking in that too, you know, have you really done a deep dive analysis of what the market wants, the profitability of it, and then actually how to sell it? Which brings me to one of my favorite topics, which is sales. You know, I spend so much of my time focusing on sales training, and so often it's not as a bigger task as often the CEO might think in terms of how do they move the team into being more productive and certainly closing more sales. There's some core fundamentals that need to be put into place. And really, if you've got good talent and team, it makes it so much easier because you employ the right fit for what it is you need. But when you look at your sales process, you know, how are you building rapport with that customer, either face-to-face, online, or over the phone? You know, what are the pertinent questions that you're asking so that when you go to present the product, you're not having to go for 50 options, which we all know is not going to work anyway, but you can go for the 1 or 2, at most 3 key options that will help them make a decision asking for, you know, when you ask for the sale. And, you know, streamlining that, whether it's, you know, for a very simple product that you sell right through to a longer lead time in it, you still put those core principles on. And really for me, I think this is such an undervalued focus in businesses. Like, we want the business, we want the sale, we've got the person. It's like, well, let's give them the bridge to success so they can go across it and help you close that sale. And then the third piece to this is, how are you servicing the customer? You know, I think, again, sales and service is the left and right leg. If you've got great customer service and great sales, you will always multiply more with sales. You know, this notion that I'm great at sales, I don't have to be that good at service. Well, you're just a cowboy and you're going to burn the database, and sure, we might get quick success and a great quick win and woohoo, we've made a bit more of our budget. However, that customer never comes back, so therefore we're having to spend more money in acquisition. These two have to be in place. No matter how strong you think a salesperson is, but they're a bit average on their service, you have to have both of them working in harmony. And equally, if you've got people who are they're a bit too, you know, the nice guy, they're great at making everyone feel great, but they're not good at closing, you know, that equally needs a different set of training for them so that they can feel more confident closing. And when you get that delivery piece set, and it's a really fine oiled machine, you can move into this third stage. And here is when you really get a whole new level of traction and you're able to really elevate. And this starts with tweaking the experience your customer feels. Now, interestingly, when I talk to businesses about the experience of their customer, I always have to start from the inside out. If your team's experience of working in your organization is fantastic, it's going to resonate out with how they sell, serve, and talk about you. So it has to start with an amazing experience on the inside for it to go on the outside. And again, this is where it's not always about having to outlay cost on things. This could come at a service level where you surprise and delight your customer unexpectedly. It could even just be a simple phone call following up, have they purchased, depending on your business and how much details you get. Like, it's not always about what money you spend, it's thinking about how you can deliver wow factor and value. But by upgrading this and looking to see how do we get to that next level, again, people will flock to you. You will be the supplier of choice or the consultant of choice, or they will want to spend their weekly earnings at your supermarket or whatever, because the experience for them is something that is just a delight that they're not getting from your competitor. Next here is leadership. Once you've got these things in play, your leadership needs to upgrade. The thinking that got you to where you are now is not going to be the thinking which is going to get you to the next level. Equally with your behaviours, the culture, and the leadership. When you're working with a team and you're elevating them all and you're bringing them up and you're empowering them, you're educating them, and you're motivating them to do more, it helps you as the leader lift your game and brings all the team up with you. So it's looking again at what are you doing to upgrade your leadership at the team level, so that they're all part of this culture of being responsible and accountable for their own performance and results, reducing the victim mentality, and equally then at that leadership level. And then finally, this piece here is your contribution. Looking at the broader ripple effect of who you are in the market, who you are in your community, and looking to see how can you add value and contribute in ways that people don't expect, that are genuine, of course. But this for me is when you're at this level and you're doing that level of upgrade, this is a no-brainer. Like, the sales certainty is just a given. It's a given because you've got the right people and the right strategy aligned to your goals and your outcome. You're doing the things that make the most impact for you, that matter the most for you, and are the most pleasurable to do. So therefore, your team are going to want to do it. You're delivering incredible performance and productivity through excellent product, well-trained sales and service teams. The values of what we believe are to be important for how we sell are rock solid, that everyone knows it. So you've got no cowboys lurking around in your sales force. And then finally, you're looking at how do we take this to the next level? How do we excel and exceed expectations? So again, we are the first, second, or third choice in the market out of a very busy and crowded marketplace. So for me, when I'm sitting down with either a solopreneur or a CEO or an HR manager, it's taking them through this to go, well, what is the key priority for you? Have you really stepped back from doing the business to look at all of those 9 key areas? And have you got a strategy for how you can roll that out? So I hope you found this useful. This for me is some of the core principles that I apply to all the training and coaching that I do. Again, large or small, because I think when you get those fundamentals right and you've got a great process and an order within which you're doing it, again, it's going to give you that certainty. And I know for the CEOs that I work with and the managers and certainly the business owners, one of the things that can keep them up at night, worrying them and stressing them out at all times of the year, is knowing that they've got some gaps in their sales performance and they don't have that certainty to bank on. So if you could eliminate that and get a really strong, solid foundation, what else is possible in your business in terms of the goals, the aspirations that you're wanting to go for. So my name's Yvonne Hills. If you found this useful and you'd like to have a chat with me about if we can do something together to help your business and its performance, or if you've got a sales team that certainly needs some motivation and some new strategies to keep them fresh in the marketplace, reach out and my team will book you in for just a quick call, and we'll check to see if we're a good fit and if I am able to help. And then from there we can see if there's some other opportunities where I can really help you achieve what it is you're going for.